Hey everyone, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. This video is going to be about our trip we just got back from. We went to Puerto Rico for a week and we hit San Juan, Old San Juan, Rincon, some of the tourist attractions throughout the island. We were there, like I say, for a week. We didn't begin to see all of the island. So this is going to be more of an informative type of a video. It's not going to be a lot of drone shots and slow motion video of my girlfriend getting out of the ocean. Wait, scratch that. My wife getting out of the ocean. She wouldn't let me bring my girlfriend. Anyway, so if you're planning a trip there, stay tuned. I'm going to go over where we went, how much things cost, give you a tour of like the Airbnbs that we stayed in so you can get an idea of what you get for the money. And like I say, if you're planning a trip, here we go. I'll show it all to you right now. We're pretty budget conscious when we travel. We don't stay in youth hostels or share a bathroom or anything like that, but we're maybe like one step above that. We mostly stay in Airbnbs, so you'll see what kind of Airbnbs we stayed in. Also, you'll notice that we skipped some of the things that most people do while they're in Puerto Rico, especially in Old San Juan. We skipped the fort and we skipped the castle tours. We also skipped a lot of the beaches in Puerto Rico. We live in St. Thomas, so we are on the beach all the time. We have very beautiful beaches. So I will show you some of the beaches that we hit just so you can see what they look like. They have some nice beaches there. But we didn't just do a tour of beach after beach after beach. That wasn't why we were there. This was our first time in Puerto Rico. We wanted to cover as much ground as we could. It's a huge island, and since we live so close, it's an 18-minute flight. We know that we'll be back, so we wanted to just kind of cover a lot of ground, and so you'll get to see what all we saw while we were there. Okay, like I said, it's an 18-minute flight from St. Thomas to Puerto Rico, and if you're curious, the plane tickets were $120 round trip. It almost cost us as much to park the car. Parking was $70, $10 a day at our airport. But once we got to Puerto Rico, it was straight to the car rental place. We booked our rental car through booking.com, through Popular. It's part of Popular Bank, so they're a big company. They had good reviews. We did have to wait 45 minutes for the shuttle to pick us up, which was a little frustrating. But other than that, they had great service, and the price, you couldn't beat it. We paid $100 for the whole week for the rental car. That included all the taxes and everything. There was a couple of extras that you need to know when you get to Puerto Rico if you're renting a car. There's a $5 per day charge for the tolls, and they have tolls everywhere. So if you're traveling across the island, if you're just going to hit San Juan and Old San Juan, you won't hit the tolls. But if you're going anywhere else, you are definitely going to go through the tolls. So pay that $5. And also a pro tip, we did not bring a copy of our insurance cards with us. So we got there on a Saturday and our insurance company was closed. We couldn't get copies of our insurance cards, so they charged us $15 per day for their insurance, which Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so your insurance will cover you while you're there. So remember to bring your insurance card to avoid that $15. We were able on Monday to get our insurance company to email us copies. We forwarded them to them. They took care of it, but it was just a little bit of a hassle that we weren't expecting. After we picked up our rental car, we had a little bit of time to kill before we could check into our Airbnb. Okay, here's a quick walkthrough of our Airbnb. Hey, I'll give you a quick tour of where we stayed in San Juan. We're basically in Loíza, just on the other side of Cantado. If you walk a few blocks this direction, that's Cantado right over there. The beach is right over there. There's quite a few restaurants and things. There's a Supermax supermarket right there. I think that's probably like 1 or 2 blocks over. You'd be in Cantado. I'll take you in here and show you what it looks like. You got a little kitchen, a sort of small fridge. This is about chest high on me, but no stove, no oven, microwave, hot plate. And just a studio, TV. They have some little tables I used as a desk, closet. This was the bathroom, shower, sink, window air unit, decent views. And that's it. That's what you get for $45 per night and a $35 cleaning fee. And you could walk a lot of places. It's pretty centrally located.
You can walk to La Placita in 15 minutes.
Yeah, we walked to La Placita. Yeah, it was a good spot. And then we walked down and we checked out the beach. I'll show you what the beach looks like. We're in Puerto Rico. Where are we?
In Punta Piedrita.
We found the beach, La Playa. The beach wasn't very crowded. This is the slow time for them as far as tourism goes, so there was just a few locals out on the beach. So then we checked into our Airbnb, we got cleaned up, regrouped, and then we walked down to La Placita. Here's some video of what La Placita looks like. It's basically an area that used to be, I believe, a bunch of like mercados, like fruit stands and things, and they've turned it into a really hip, cool little place with lots of bars, and everybody has food, and there's music and people dancing in the streets. A bartender had told us that the party starts about midnight, and that's a little late for us in our old age. So she also told us that from where we were staying in the Luisa area, that it would be safe for us to walk there in the daylight, but she didn't recommend walking home. She recommended getting an Uber back, which we did take her advice, although it seemed really safe when we looked out the window of the Uber, but it was only $3 or $4 for the Uber. The Ubers are pretty cheap in Puerto Rico. So we erred on the side of caution. My other excuse of why we left at 10:30, we wanted to get an early start on the morning because we were going to El Yunque National Park the next day. So we got up and my wife wanted to just go straight to the park, but I also am big into real estate and I wanted to check out a few properties while we were there. So there's one that I really liked that was on the south side of the island. So we got in the car and we drove about 45 minutes south to the Humacao area. And we checked out a rental property that was for sale down there. So that kind of threw off the timing for the day of what my wife had planned. But there's some cool beaches there. Here's a picture of what the beach looks like. Another long beach. There's also a nature preserve down there that has kayaking and bicycling and some cool stuff down there. It's a cool little area to check out. So from there, we headed to El Yunque, and we kind of did things out of order. It would make more sense to go to El Yunque and then go to Luquillo Beach, but because of how we were going, we hit Luquillo Beach first. So we went to Luquillo, very cool place, nice beach. They have like it's like a huge outdoor strip mall of just mainly restaurants and bars. A lot of good food there. And again, a lot of fried food, but a lot of good food there. And we were there kind of early, and we were also there on a Sunday, so a lot of them were closed. But here's some video of what the shops look like. And after we went and had a little bite there, we walked down to the beach, and it's a super long beach, very pretty. We didn't spend a lot of time on the beach because we still needed to do El Yunque, but we did see a manatee. Here's a little bit of the manatee that we saw. So after Luquillo, we got back in the car and we were headed to El Yunque. There's only 2 trails that are open right now because of the hurricanes. Hurricane Maria back in 2017. They still haven't opened up most of the trails. So the visitor center is also closed, but they have an interim visitor center set up. And here's a little bit of video of what that looks like. The visitor center has a ton of information in there. You do need to put lluvia, spelled like rain, into your GPS to find it. And here's another pro tip for you. Whenever you're traveling in another country, you can use Google Maps, even if you don't have internet, if you're offline. So the best thing that I found to do, just to be sure, is while you're in your hotel or your Airbnb, pick the places where you're going and just drop a pin in your phone, and then you can follow around and you can get directions to those pins while you're driving. This will save you a ton of headache and yelling at your significant other because you're lost. We still seem to get lost a fair amount and miss some exits and have some discussions, shall we say, but this will help a tremendous amount, and it's a great tip if you don't know that one already. Okay, a couple fun facts about El Yunque National Forest. It is part of the National Park System. It's the only rainforest in the U.S. park system. It gets I read about 20 feet of rain per year, which is that's a ton of rain. That's why it's so lush and green. Obviously, it's a rainforest. The peak is 3,494 feet tall, which is about 1,064 meters. The park is 28,000 acres, which is about 42 square miles, which is interesting to me because that's bigger than St. Thomas, the island that I live on. It's only 32 square miles, so it's about 50% bigger than St. Thomas. So a lot of area to cover. Like I mentioned before, there are only 2 trails that are open. We did both of those trails. They go up to some lookout towers. So I'll put some video in there to show you what the lookout towers look like. The first tower is right off of the road. You just park your car and you can go up the tower. Cool lookout spot. I've seen some drone footage of people at the top of that tower, which looks really cool when you go to the top and you fly the drone around and get some footage. That's a really cool shot. And then the second tower, you drive all the way up to the top of the road. It's about 13 kilometers. Park your car at the top. It's a one-way loop around the top. And then you take the trail up. At the top of the trail, it splits 2 ways. One way goes up to the tower and the other way goes up to El Yunque Peak. We went up to the tower and hiked up there. Got a little video. I did a time lapse. We didn't go up to the peak because of my little real estate excursion. We were running late. The park does close at 6 p.m., which we weren't really thinking about, but also we weren't thinking anyways. It gets dark about 6 p.m. You're closer to the equator. It gets dark a little bit earlier down here. So we were rushing a little bit. We wanted to do the hikes, make sure we had time for the hikes, and then we were going to see the waterfalls on the way back down. So the guy at the visitor center marked all the waterfalls that we could get to, that we could see. And another thing to keep in mind, not all of the rivers and lakes and freshwater systems in Puerto Rico are safe for swimming. Some of them have some bacteria in them that you don't want to swim in. So the guy at the visitor centers marked on the map which ones are safe to swim in and which ones weren't. So that's worth the trip to the visitor center, just so you don't get into the wrong little waterfall and come out of there sick. The next day was Monday, and we hopped in the car and we were off to Cueva del Indio. We did notice that on the weekend there was no traffic. We didn't really think much about it, but on Monday we noticed there was quite a bit of traffic. We ended up in Monday morning rush hour traffic, which didn't last long. We got out of San Juan pretty quick, and then we were on the highway out of there. So the road to Cueva del Indio did take a little bit longer than we thought, and when we got there, there was a $5 entrance fee, which we didn't know about, so it does cost $5 to go see these caves. And we got there, and there's a guy that takes your money and gives you a little photo. He has a little photo book, and he shows you pictures of it, and he gives you some kind of weird description of how to get into there. He's like, you go up here and you'll find the cave, and there's 5 ways into the cave. There used to be a ladder, but the ladder disappeared 4 years ago, and I guess they just haven't had time to get a new ladder. So you can't just climb down into it. There's a crack in the rock that you can supposedly climb into, and then you kind of handhold and foothold your way down into the cave. And supposedly you can go around and swim into the cave. I don't know, it took me about, I'm gonna be honest, it took me about 10 minutes just to figure out how to climb up and get into the crack. And then once I got into the crack, it looked a little sketchy to try to get down there, and the wife didn't think she wanted to do it, so I didn't want to do it on my own. There was no other people there while I was in there, so I didn't get into the cave, and we didn't try to figure out how to swim around into the cave. There are some petroglyphs down at the bottom that you can see, but it's cool just to see like the formation of where the caves are, and it's all kind of looks like the surface of the moon. And there's a bunch of arches that you can look down through. It was a cool place. It didn't take too long. We did walk down onto the beach afterwards and checked out the beach. Not too much to see on the beach there. And then we were back in the car. We were heading to Rincon, and we wanted to stop in Auqudilla and check that town out. So the road to Auqudilla, you're on Highway 2, and it looks on the map, you just look on the map, and it looks like it kind of goes around the top of Puerto Rico, and it'll be scenic and maybe have some views of the ocean. Not the case. It's stoplight after stoplight, and it just seemed like it took forever. We were kind of tired. Anyway, it was a long drive to Auqudilla. We got to Auqudilla, and not a lot to see there. There was a fountain, which I think they thought was the Fountain of Youth when they discovered this little town. And there's a cool little group of houses up on the hillside that are painted cool. They looked like this. And the beach there did look pretty nice. There's a lot of people swimming there. It looked like a nice beach. We just kind of had a beer, hung out, took some photos, and we were out of there on our way to Rincon. So we got to Rincon and we got settled in, and we went down to downtown to go have dinner or beer or something to check out downtown. And it was dead. I mean dead. There wasn't hardly a soul. There was like 3 people at a little coffee kiosk drinking coffee, and that was it. It's October, it's the low season. We expected it to be slow, but everybody was like, oh, it's this chill, laid back, hippie, surfer, beach vibe. But man, there was nothing going on there. So we ended up just going to the grocery store, picking up some stuff for dinner, and heading back to the house. So the next morning we got up early and we went to go see the lighthouse, which looks like this. And we could see some surfers surfing from there. There's also a bar at the lighthouse. So we saw some surfers. We took a couple pictures of the surfers out there. So we just kind of explored Rincon. We went down, found another beach, walked down that beach, pretty much had the whole thing to ourselves. There was a couple surfers out there, but not too much going on there. Then we went back and had lunch kind of by where the lighthouse is. There's a cool little bar there. I don't remember the name of it. I think it was Caribbean Joe's or something like that. And we just, like, a rain cloud moved in. It rained on us for 2 or 3 hours, and we just hung out there. There were some cool locals. We hung out at with the bar there. Had some fish tacos. They were good. I think $12 for fish tacos there. $3 medallas, which is the local beer. And they told us we really needed to check out Crash Boat Beach. So by the time we got back in the car, we put it into the GPS. It said we were 45 minutes away. It was already like 3 o'clock, so it would be 4 o'clock before we got there. It gets dark at 6, so we said we nixed Crash Boat Beach. I'm sure you can Google it and see some pictures there. But we just went and hung out at the beach right kind of in the downtown area where we were, and hung out there for a little bit. I tried to get some pictures. There was some nice waves. I was trying to get that picture where the wave is going like this and you get the picture looking in the wave, but I didn't have much luck. My pictures turned out like this. So the next morning we checked out of the Airbnb, and here's a little tour of it. So we headed back to Old San Juan. Well, first we had to drop the rental car off, so we went to San Juan, dropped the rental car off there, and we got an Uber back to Old San Juan. Uber cost us about $12, not too bad. I talked to somebody who said that their Uber from the airport was $25, so it was a lot cheaper, or their taxi, so the Uber was a lot cheaper than the taxis would be. So we got into Old San Juan, and we were able to go straight to our Airbnb and check in. I don't know if you can hear that. Every time I try to do a video, my condo people are out here weed eating or mowing the lawn or doing something. Hopefully you can't hear that. So we got checked into our Airbnb. It was a really cool spot. It was right by the fort. We could open up the windows. We could see the ocean. We could see the fort. To the left, we could see the little barrio where they filmed El Despacito. So we were pretty excited about the view. So I opened up the windows, and there was no glass in the window. It was just air, which was nice, I guess, if you want the air to flow in, but we really wanted the air conditioner to flow, so we had to keep the windows closed the whole time. So no view, but we stayed cool because it was hot. So we got dropped off our stuff and we just headed into Old San Juan. We started a 3-day tour of just eating and drinking and just taking pictures and hanging out in Old San Juan. The reason we dropped the car off first, there's not a lot of parking in Old San Juan, and they'll get you if you park in the wrong spot. Every night in front of our Airbnb, I saw this cop writing tickets, and I don't know why he was writing tickets. They say that you need a local sticker because of the color of the curb, but I didn't see anything that said you need a sticker. I didn't see any different colors on the curbs. I tried to look at the stickers on the cars. I couldn't really figure out where you could park and where you couldn't park, but the tickets that this guy was writing were $250. So if you are taking a car to Old San Juan, I would highly recommend you figure out where you can park and where you can't park. They do have a parking garage by where the tourist ships park. So I don't know what that costs per day, but I would look into finding a safe place to park your car. And I would say 2 days in Old San Juan is probably plenty. We were there for 3 days and we saw everything we wanted to see. And we found out too late that there's a museum there. I would have liked to have seen that. We had some friends of ours that were there while we were there, and they went and saw the museum and they said it's definitely worth it. We just mainly ate and drank, and I'll show you some of the pictures of what we did while we were there. Okay, you made it to the end of the video. I know that was kind of a long one. Like I said, I was trying to make this informative for people who are thinking about planning a trip. So thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing if you did find this information helpful. And if you subscribe and you ring the bell, you'll get notified the next time I put a video together. And there's going to be lots more videos with beach tips and beach hacks coming out here in the near future. So please give the video a like, subscribe, make comments, do all that stuff. I greatly appreciate it. And thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Adios.